So, this is the lovely Isabella. We call her Izzy. Let me give you a little bit of a backstory. So, if you see right here, this was her previous color, and Izzy had this color done in April of this year. She really loves the grow out. She wants to keep this blonde, right? But she obviously has this harsh line of demarcation. So, after a thorough consultation with Izzy, we decided she wants to have a little bit more of a lived-in effect to break this harsh line up. She still wants to keep these blonde ends on the ends. So, my technique for you today is I am just going to do a classic balayage on her, just to kind of bring this line up in little points of light so it looks way more intentional and just lived in. And also, she doesn't get her hair done very often, so that will keep it at a soft grow out for her, and she can still have fun with her super blonde ends. Now, before Izzy's came tonight, I sent her home with Redken's hair cleansing cream here. So, hair cleansing cream, I made her shampoo right before her appointment and dry. That saved me that step whenever she came in for her appointment today. Otherwise, if she would have come in and hadn't have done that, I would have done that here at the salon for her. But the Redken hair cleansing cream is good for removing all mineral and deposits and impurities. And with her having the fashion color that had faded out on the ends, we've made sure to make sure she's done that on a regular basis, just to keep this blonde as clean of a canvas as possible. You can still see little tinges of the vivids in there, but with toning we can make that balance out very well. In my decision for this classic balayage technique, I decided to go with Redken's Flash Lift Power 9. Izzy is a natural level 6 in her root area. I need a big punch and powerful lift for that area to match with those super light ends she's got going on that are a level like 9-10. So Redken's Flash Lift Power 9 is just my absolute favorite. I don't have to deal with a whole lot of brassy undertones the way it punches through the color. I just also decided, for the same reason, for time-wise, and because this is an open air technique, so I need a little higher budge of powerlifting with it being open air instead of being in the foil where I can go lower and slower as far as that goes. So with it being open in air, I prefer to go bump it up a little bit to give me that little bit of insurance when it comes to lifting. So I decided to go with 30 volume in Pro Oxide. With that being said, in the lifting power, we are going to go with a 1-to-1 ratio when we are mixing for balayage. The reason being is because what's in your box or your tube of color or anything like that, the source that does the work for the lifting in the hair has to be alkaline. So this is your alkaline source, right? Hair likes to live in 4.5 to 5.5, which is more on the acidic level. So we need the alkalinity and a stronger alkalinity to get a higher level of lift to push through, right? Your developer is just the activating ingredient, and it has the acidity in it. So remember that whenever it comes to certain things like open air, or like when it comes to coarse, thick, darker hair, you need a higher alkalinity source in order to get that lighter level of lift. Also, I'm going to be preparing small batches throughout the service. I'm not going to mix them all at once. What I'm going to do is pre-prep them like this. So I have 1 scoop of my Power 9, and I'm going to have 3/4 of an ounce of 30 volume developer in my measuring cup, and I am simply going to place the cup like this and have it sitting here ready to mix with my whisk when I get to that point. And I'm probably going to set up 3 bowls like this. if you were to mix it all at once, you would lose your lifting power by the end of the service with just having one bowl mixed up and a whole bunch all at once. So, to work smarter, not harder, we're going to mix up a bunch of smaller batches so we get the same power throughout the entire service of application. So, Redken long narrow bristle brush. This one's going to be more for detail work. I'm going to end up sticking with this one because I'm only going to be painting in her retouch area. So I'm going to need a lot of control. And with that being said, I need to work in smaller sections and more narrow. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to part her into 4 quadrant sections. So we're going to go straight down the middle, find the apex, and come down, which normally ends up right behind the ear. And I'm going to take this, and I'm going to clip it toe up. So that way, when I get to it, it's easier to undo. Actually, since it's fighting me, I'm going to twist it and come down, just right now. And this is the side that I'm going to start in. So see? There's your 4 sections. Why do we use a whisk? Because it keeps your bristles on your brush. It saves the bristles on your brush from being all and angry. So always mix with a whisk first, because that's what they're made for, right? The slower you mix, the better, because the faster you whip that in there, you end up getting a lot of oxygen, and so it ends up developing faster. So you want to mix slower to get the best lifting power out of your lightning. I'm going to be working in triangular sections. So, in my first section, I'm going to take a diagonal back. So I'm going to go from about, can you turn for me? This little point right here down to the nape, right? And there is triangle 1. You take your triangle and you're going to hold it out, and you are going to pinch it together and hold it very tight. That keeps the hair from buckling, right? You're going to load your brush, and you're going to start, and I'm going to paint a V of light. So I'm going to start on this outer corner, always in downward strokes. Never brush up, because what happens is those little hairs end up getting pushed up, and then you end up with a bunch of little fuzzy spots that end up with a lot of warmth. So always come down and thick, thorough saturation. If you make a little mistake and brush it up there, lightly get it off with your finger and have a towel handy, which I have over here, right? Okay, so I'm going to come over here on this side, and I'm going to brush down, creating that V. Let me go on this side. Can you see this? And I'm only going to brush down to where it starts getting blonde. And I'm going to make that even thicker. We don't want to overlap. So as you're coming down, you want to pinch, pull, pinch, pull. I'll load my brush up again, and I'll paint a little bit more to get that smooth surface area painted nice and clean. And I'm going to go through the center like this. Just like that. Okay, pinch, pull, and I'm going to leave that there. I was going to put a piece of cotton, but since I'm not painting those ends, I'm going to leave that sitting. Now, if I were doing a full classic balayage, I would paint all of that, apply the lightener on the back of my hand, set it on here, and brush it down, right? But I don't want to do any more damage right there, so I'm just going to leave that alone, and this is just a balayage retouch that we're doing. So now I'm going to come over to this section, and same thing, about mid-ear to mid-nape to get my triangle. There it is there. I'm going to hold it up towards me, right? Load my brush. I'm going to create my V of light. So on the outside corner edge, strokes going downward, and you're doing a circular motion like this to keep it more fluid, okay? almost like a bicycle pedal. Lots of elbow and shoulder action. And as I come down towards here, I'm going to paint in the center, making sure not to get it on the blonde part. And you know you're doing it right whenever your bristles have that sideways motion going. You know you've got your movements right on that. I'm going to pinch, pull. And as I come down, just make sure that that saturation stays nice and pretty and thick and creamy. You don't want to see the hair strands coming through. Down to this point, right, I have two V sections. I would like to create a V of light right in here. So I'm going to resection and do a horizontal combining these two. To connect the V's of light here, I'm going to grab both of these sections. Like this. So this V is here and this V is here on this side. I want to make sure this V is in the center of this pocket of depth. So I'm going to start here and make my triangle to the center of those two and drop that out. And the center of this pocket of depth into the center between those two. And there I have that triangle. I'm going to pull this out. I can see I still have a little bit of edge here, so I'm going to fix that. Come back in on that very outside edge, more like that. And I want a nice thick paste to keep that lightener doing its job. I have this pocket of depth here. So I'm going to do a diagonal back. Can you turn your head a little bit? And I want this line to be from right here to end right here, right? I'm going to paint right here from this V because I want a high point of light there. And this time, I think I'm just going to go, instead of making a V of light, I'm just going to paint down at an angle like that. I'm going to repeat on this side. And I'm going to start up here because I want this high point of light. And I'm just going to come down at a ramp. Down into the dark meets the light. Now, if you notice right there, I have a little bit of a buckling, so I'm just going to smooth that out with my finger a little bit and wipe on my towel. That way we don't have any weird blobs or anything like that going on. Right? For my saturation, to make sure it's nice and thick and looks like cake icing basically on there. So here is what she looks like so far. I'm going to connect these two parts again. From the middle of this ramp to the center. And this is my favorite thing about balayage, is it's freehand painting. And you can visually place everything where you want to see it go. Here, I'm going to go from the center of this ramp to the center back of the head. And I need to make sure my lines are clean. Here's that. Okay, now, you never want your sections to be wider than a peace sign, right? So that is definitely wider, and it matches up with this V right here. So I'm actually splitting this in two. So this here actually makes an offset triangle. So on this section, I don't want it to match up with these points of light. It doesn't match up because this one ramps in this way and this one ramps in this way. So I do think that right here, I'm going to V this out again. Okay? Do you see how that lines up? So this point of light will come right on the inside of this ramp and come down. And this one will come on the outside of this one and come this way when it falls. Okay, all the way down to the brightens. Now, again, if I was painting this all the way down to the ends, that is where I would take my cotton and I would place it under here. But that really doesn't have anything to hold. And that's a pretty thick portion, so I shouldn't have to worry about it bleeding onto the rest of it. Because as that sets, I should have a little bit of a safety cushion, right? In the end, that will actually end up being a W. I'm making sure as I let go, I'm not mashing it down into the hair underneath, so that'll help keep me from bleeding onto those pieces underneath that aren't painted. I'm going to do diagonal back. As you can tell, that's wider than a peace sign, but here's this neat little trick, right? I'm going to take this triangle and you can see how that's going to paint out underneath, right? Right here, I'm going to drop this corner out. So that gives it a pocket of depth right under that one, and drop this corner out. So I dropped out this corner and this corner, so all my light points of light aren't matched up perfectly. You could be more creative. I could do an A right there if I wanted to and leave a whole pocket. I could leave a whole pocket of depth right there, right? If I wanted. But I'm kind of liking seeing those V's going through there and bringing it up, so I break up that root a little bit more. I get up here, I'm going to drop out the outside corners so I am not matched up with those exact points of light. That way, the top point of this V light is in the pocket of depth of the underneath parts, right? Now, I'm getting to the point up here that I want to marry these two sections together. That is still a pretty big section to work with. So, I'm just going to connect this pocket of depth with this pocket of depth straight across. Like that. Very top section. That's all I have left. Can you tilt for me? Right? She always parts her hair down the middle. That's too big of a section for just a peace sign, right? And it's also it's pretty deep. So, my thought process is I'm going to split this in half, right? So then what happens is I have two triangles. Now where's that going to live when she wears it down? This way. So I'm going to take this little diamond shaped triangle here and I am going to create basically an A. So I'm going to start in the center here and I'm going to paint down and come out towards the outside edges. So that way when it lives, she has a little ribbon living right there. Okay? Some people might think it's a middle finger. I don't know. That looks pretty thick up there, so I need to kind of smooth that out a little bit so I don't have the weird, harsh, blobby line. Making sure that lives in its little hole. Brush is getting a little messy, excuse that. That probably wouldn't pass the balayage certification class. What do you think? I need to wipe it. I'm moving my body so I can get my angle right, coming down. That's that section of the back. Okay, so now it's time to move into the sides. The sides are going to be worked basically on a diagonal back. So how do you tell a diagonal back? This is horizontal, right? Straight across like the horizon. This is vertical. Vertical goes up and down. Diagonal back. If you put a marble up here, it drops towards the back of the head, right? Diagonal forward, if you were to put a marble right here, and it would drop towards the front of the face on the side profile. Make sense? So we're working on diagonal back on the sides. Coming up about 1 inch right here. Okay? Diagonal back. Right there. Now, she's going to end up, she has that kind of like a wolf cut or a shag style type haircut going on. So she has a lot of short layering around her face. So that means I want most of the light to be up around here because of those short layers. So this point of light is going to be ramped. So it's going to start up the brightest and it's just going to be a line coming down this way. That's how that's going to look like that. Now I can see I have a lot of dark right here in this area of her head. So instead of going diagonal back, now I'm going to do diagonal forward. That still creates that, leaves that triangle. See that? And this time I'm going to reverse what I just did on this section. So this is diagonal forward, so my ramp and my high point is going to come up here and drop down. This is also that little hidden piece up under in here where you don't see where a lot of those angles are. It's flowing back this way, you'll see that point of light underneath, but this is going to be hidden by this area right in here around the top, okay? And we're going to need lightness right through here. This whole front section is left, right? All of this is left. So now we're going to be working around her face. And probably here I may incorporate cotton just to keep it from dangling. And she always wears like this. Once again, I want to do diagonal back, because that is an important piece around her face. This time, I want to V. Now I'm going to insert some cotton right there. And that is just to keep it off of her face. This leaves me with one more pocket right here. Right? See this little pocket right here? So on this little piece, I'm going to drop out those corners again like I did before. Right? I'm going to drop this corner out. And I'm going to drop this corner out. And then I'm going to V that out. Just and let's this. And now we let her process for 55 minutes is the max you can leave it on there. So I'm going to let her process, and then we're going to rinse, and then we're going to tone. After we rinse, we're going to see where we're kind of living at as far as the lift and decide our formulation from there. But we are going to dry before we ever apply our toner on there. Okay, so we are about to rinse Izzy out. I am using Redken's Extreme Bleach Recovery, and then Extreme Bleach Recovery Lamellar Water, which they actually stopped making this, but I still have a little bit of left. It's a fabulous treatment. The Extreme Bleach Recovery is a gentle strength repair. Since we bleached using the lightener, and then she has those super blonde ends, it's just going to go in with some protein and some strength repair to help keep that strong and re-strengthen everything in there to keep it from breaking any further. The lamellar water acts as a porosity filler, so it'll be great to create an even canvas so that toner takes evenly root to end. And it also helps strengthen and repair any damage from the bleach as well. So Izzy is all rinsed and dried. We also gave her a quick haircut. We did like a modified jelly cut. You'll be able to see the finished style at the end. She really likes this blonde. We just kind of neutralize it. We decided to do, as far as her toner, is Redken Shades EQ 09P Opal Glow. We are going to mix that with Redken Shades EQ Processing Solution. Equal parts in a 1-to-1 ratio. We're going to mix it in a bottle and apply it globally all over. The cool thing about the Redken bottles is the nozzle is offset to the side, so it makes it easier to flow out of the bottle while using your application, so you can part with it and make sure that all the color is running smoothly instead of being in the center and then you're having to shake it around to get it out. So, hot tip, whenever you are mixing your toner in your bottle, you want to do a little squeeze. Put your finger on the top and shake it up. That keeps it from depressurized, because if you did it and you just did it without squeezing that a little bit, then when you would let your finger off, it would shoot out the top like Old Faithful. The reason we went with 09P is because it has a black to gray background, and its undertones are, it's a blue-violet undertone. And what that's going to do is balance out the little bit, the yellow she has going in there, and the tiny bit of yellow orange that's going on from the balayage parts where you get that slight little bit of warmth. It'll just evenly correct that all out. And the black to gray background, make sure that it's a cooler reflect in the finished result. Whenever you're applying, make sure you work in 1/4 to 1/2 inch sections, thorough and full saturation. And I'm going to start in the nape. For me, it's easier that way. I feel like I stay a little bit cleaner working bottom to top in the back section. When I get to the front, I'm going to start at the top right here and pull it back, and you'll get to see that here in a few minutes. And I use the tip of my bottle to work that in. So now what I wanted to show you is now that I'm at the front part, I'm going to take 1/4 to 1/2 inch sections, like so, and apply my toner and pull it back this way. So that way, when I get to right here around her face, everything is pulled back away from her face, and we don't have to worry about it hanging and getting any of the color like around in her eyes or anything like that. And it just keeps it a lot nicer and neater. So here we go. Now we let that process for 20 minutes, and then we're going to rinse. We are going to shampoo and condition with Redken's Color Extend Magnetics. It is sulfate free. It is very gentle on colored hair and helps to prolong the longevity of the color. We're going to shampoo, condition, and then I'm going to blow dry style her out and let y'all see the finished result, okay? For styling Izzy out, I'm going to use Redken's One United. It has 25 benefits in one. It has a little bit, it's a leave-in conditioner, so it'll detangle, it'll prep the hair for your styling products. It has a little bit of a styling aid in it. It helps fight frizz and helps to keep the hair nice and shiny and smooth. You're going to shake the bottle, spray it all over, brush through, then I'm going to use Redken's Quick Blow Dry. It's a blow dry primer. It has a heat protection in it, and it also primes the hair for the other styling aids that you're going to use. You're going to want to shake it before you spray it. Spray it all over. Brush that through. Now her hair has a lot of natural body, but I want to get it a little bit more of an oomph to it. So I grabbed Redken's Root Lifter, and it's a volumizing spray foam. And you shake and just spray everywhere that you want a little bit of lift and volume. And then you massage it into the scalp. Brush that through. And then I'm going to blow dry round brush her and touch it up with a 1 3/4 inch curling iron just to give it that extra pizzazz. To finish the style off, I'm going to use Redken's Dry Texture Spray. It gives it a little bit of a grip and some volume and kind of creates separation and makes the layers stand out a little bit more. So we shake it up and I just kind of spray it in there and get those layers to move where I want them to. Sometimes I'll use a little bit of spray wax just to give it that extra separation and movement. And it's real lightweight and fine. It's not a heavy waxy, but it really creates that separation and pieciness in there. So I'll spray like right in there and kind of pinch those layers together to make them stand out a little bit more. And Finally, I finished it off with Redken's number 12 brushable hairspray because she doesn't want a helmet head. She wants it to move and float. So it's lightweight and she can place it wherever she likes. And there she is. Let's see if I can get a little bit closer. So we got a nice lived-in dimensional blonde that goes into this real pretty, almost tip out lighter blonde on the ends. There's the back. I hope y'all like it. Thanks. Now, to send Izzy home with her hair care that I would like her to maintain everything with, Color Extend Magnetics is going to be my first choice just because we want the longevity of the toner to last, and it'll be the gentlest on her hair. But I also want to send her home with the Redken Color Extend Blondage Mask in Violet, and I only want her to use this once a week or once every other week, and she's going to put it on her hair and leave it for anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, and that's just to help pull out any yellowing that she might end up seeing over time that happens. I also want to definitely want to send her home with the Redken One United and Redken Quick Blowout for her styling needs as far as blow drying and using the iron on it. I think these are going to fit her the best because, like I said, she has natural body in her hair. She doesn't really need the root lifter, but if she wants that extra boost, of course, take it home. And then, of course, her styling products to finish out: the dry texture spray and the spray wax, and of course hairspray to hold for the hold. So in closing, I hope you have learned a few things from what I was able to show you today, and I hope you really enjoyed it. Thank you.